Hello and welcome back to the Mind and Money podcast. I'm Sherry, a financial coach.
And I'm Val, a financial planner. And today we are talking about something that came up for us while we were together this week. And it was something that I heard growing up from an employee of a credit union in our town. And she said the people that are doing the best are still in their first home. They didn't move around and upgrade. And we just reflected on this in financial situations where sometimes we upgrade something or buy something new, replace something when what we have worked perfectly fine before. Sometimes we do it for societal pressures. Sometimes we do it for wants or feeling like, well, I guess it is more so pressures from external sources. Sometimes it's internal sources. So this has been interesting in seeing how people build wealth and how those changes of replacing larger ticket items impact them.
Yeah, and by really focusing on the two things we typically spend the most on is housing and our vehicles, and focusing on how we can keep the costs for those down, because then that allows us to have more flexibility in other areas of our lives. And of course, with everything, there are some exceptions, right? Maybe you're a car person and you love cars and you have zero interest to ever travel, but you want to fix up an old car or buy a super fast car, or you love decorating your home and having a space where you can host people all the time. Like, it comes with spending in line with what's important to you as an overall thing. But like, if your home's functioning for you and there's enough space, we upgrade so much in the biggest expense of our lives, and that can be really costly.
I think with what you were saying too, like this won't apply to absolutely everyone, because for some people, certain things are really, really important to them. So it's being very clear on what your why is. Like, do I feel the need to move and have a more impressive house because my friend just did that, or because my sibling just did that? Or is that something that's important to me in life and I want that for me versus I want that because someone else has that? So knowing that when you're making those really big decisions, such as vehicles. I had clients that had a perfectly fine vehicle. There was nothing wrong with it. I know dealerships did this a lot too. They would be like, hey, trade yours in. We can keep the payment the same, but we really need those lots or those models on the lot.
We really need your 2010 Ford Edge.
Right. They're like, trade it in. And for some clients, it made sense. I know some that this is rare, but they bought a vehicle and then got more for it from the dealership. It was a twilight zone, a weird time, but not often.
Yeah,
not often.
When you're making decisions like this, and any financial decision, really understanding the big financial picture. So if the salesperson is saying, well, I can keep the payment the same, so your month to month doesn't change.
Right.
But what does your year to year look like? Were you 1 year away from being car loan free and then being able to do something different with that money to save up for your next car, so then you can avoid car payments for the rest of your life, or to put more extra towards your debt until you needed another car?
Right. Or do you now have negative equity that you took from the old car, put it into the new vehicle? Just to look at the full picture before you're like, okay, I can still afford that every month. Sounds good.
And to be clear, negative equity is you still owe more money on your car than what it's worth.
Yes.
They reframe it using these terms that we may not understand, and then we're afraid to ask because they're using these terms that we don't know, and we think, well, they'll think we're dumb if we ask. And then it gets us rolling that negative equity in, like having maybe a $40,000 car loan for a $30,000 car. I was curious to look into this offer. I heard on a commercial recently, and it might have been for a US car dealership. They're like, we'll absorb up to $9,000 of your previous, like, if you're upset. I'm like,
oh, interesting.
But I'm like, how will you absorb that? Are you saying you'll absorb it by adding it to what I will owe if I purchase a new vehicle, which I suspect would probably be the case?
I think so.
They're not taking a hit of $9,000 for selling a car.
No. So when you're making these jumps or these changes as well, like there's more cost to it than just, oh, my new payment is the same. There's going to be, like, maybe not necessarily coming from the dealership, but I know when we sold vehicles and bought actually older vehicles with lower kilometers, there was also like the one had to get, well, safetied. We had to go in and then pay taxes on the green book value. you have to pay taxes. Even if you bought it for $5 is what the bill of sale says from a stranger, they tax you at a rate, like at a specified amount for that vehicle. Anyways, every process is a little different, but just to keep in mind that it's not just the monthly expense. When you buy and sell a house, there's other expenses. There's realtor fees, there's legal fees, like there's more pieces to the puzzle. There's moving fees. So thinking of the full picture, thinking of why you want to do it. It's not to say that if you're miserable in the worst house and you're like, this is horrible, but I'm going to stay here. Okay, it's not to say you have to stay there and that's how you're going to be rich, but it's saying that that's a big move. Make it make sense for you.
Yeah, and you really have to weigh all of the factors, but there are some information out there where there's people that are worth a lot of money. They're investors, they own big companies, but they're driving these older vehicles because they're like, well, it works. Why would I buy a new one?
Yes, I'm also into the drive it into the ground. Some businesses make sense to trade it back in. That's a different story. But as individuals with personal vehicles, I'm a big fan of drive it into the ground.
Well, even as a business, so in Canada, writing a vehicle off if you're using it partly for business, partly for personal, like leasing versus owning, there's very different things that you can write off. But like I see posts too. It's like, yeah, tax time is almost here, or the end of the tax year is almost here. Invest in this big purchase for your business to save on taxes. Okay, so if I reduce my business profit by $1,000 by investing in this thing, I'm not going to reduce my taxes by $1,000.
No, it's not dollar for dollar.
Yeah. It all comes down to marketing and the influence.
And sound advice, like having an accountant or tax expert that knows your business and can guide you to make decisions that are tax efficient and tax savvy.
And having a social circle, or even a few people in your social circle that are focused on the overall financial picture, and you're not all trying to race to keep up with the Joneses to get the best car, the best home, because depending on your friend circle, your financial pictures can be very different. And maybe one individual or one couple can afford to do something specific with their vehicle or get a new vehicle every 3 years. Maybe they're paying cash and you don't know that, or they're going on 2 vacations a year, but they're not adding debt to do it. And if somebody else, another friend, tries to do the same thing, they're digging themselves a giant ass debt hole because they're like, well, so and so is doing it, so I should be able to do it too. And I don't want them to think that I'm financially behind them, when it's like, we all have our own realities, but a lot of times we're making financial decisions without understanding exactly where we are and knowing what our monthly budget and our cash flow looks like.
Or just feeling embarrassed to say no, or to feel like you're in not competition, but like, well, if they can, I should be able to, or I want to do that. I work hard. I'm going on vacation. So knowing your numbers and knowing what you have going on, because what they have going on, we can assume. And until we actually know their numbers, you have no idea what's going on behind someone else's doors, bank statements.
Yeah. And everybody has different situations, their own personal factors. And if you're comparing yourself to others, you're going to lose every time.
Absolutely. Stay in your own lane.
When it comes to your finances, your health, any other personal or business related goals, compare yourself to where you were yesterday, last week, last month, last year. See how far you've come, what changes you've made, and really try and quiet the noise. I know it's easy to say it, it's hard to do it. Try and quiet the noise. So when you feel pulled to do something that's a big financial decision, take some time to pause and spend some time alone in a quiet space with a journal and think about, I feel I want to buy a new car, move to a bigger home, and then ask yourself why. What's impacting that decision? What's pushing that decision? And what factors are truly internal and how many factors are external? And then, oh yeah, I want to buy a home because so and so bought a new home and I really like her new place and I feel pulled to want to do it. Being open with, I want to do it because she's doing it.
Yes.
But then what is the impact to me if I do it?
Right. Because also looking at like, yes, I want that, but do I want everything that comes with it? Do I want the increased mortgage payment? Do I want to move? Do I want to sell my house and get it ready for sale? Do I want like the full picture? And this example came up last night. I have a goal of reading a book a week. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be every week, but like 52 books in the year. And I asked Sherry, I'm like, how many books have you read this year? And she said, how many was it?
Oh, first
80
I got
something?
first I got it wrong, but the correct information at the time was 81.
Right. And I was like, holy shit. And at first I was like, damn, I am a quarter of that. And then I was like, no, that's not the point. That's her race. My race is I'm pretty close to being on track. I'm trying to get caught up a couple books and I'm halfway or I am where I want to be. But it was this like, I'm in competition with me, not with Sherry. But it was a moment where I had to not correct my reaction, but just be like, was that your goal? And no, that was not my goal.
And I tried to share it with a disclaimer too. I'm like, I'm at 81, but I don't have anybody to be responsible for. I don't take care of anybody. I don't take care of a kid. I don't take care of animals. I don't there's a lot of free time that I have and I choose to spend a lot of it reading. And
yeah, and it wasn't a bad thing at all. It was just interesting to see that first reaction in me was like, holy shit. But then I was like, no, that's okay because those are our different goals. She's on track, I'm on track.
And I think that's our first reaction is often one that is influenced mostly by external factors. And then when you slow down and take a beat and think about how am I feeling about this? Why am I feeling like that? And what's my true story? And what do I really want? And what can I really make happen that I want? Maybe you want a new car, but then you take a step back and you're like, okay, Joe salesman tells me that it's going to take the same amount of payment for my monthly payment for a car, but it's going to take 7 years. And thinking about, okay, in 7 years, will I still want to be driving this car or will I want to have upgraded? And then is it better to just hang on to the one you've got? Take care of the one you've got, unless it's a lemon. If it's a lemon, run away.
Yeah.
But it comes down to contentment too, and figuring out why we're trying to emulate what other people have. Yeah, social media is just is a bitch, and I try and really curate mine so it's more about what random things can I learn.
Right.
How can I not be influenced by things? But we're all influenced by things. It's just how we handle moving past that initial feeling of like, oh,
I need this.
Yeah,
yes.
I want.
Yes.
Because
yes.
Pause. To success. Yeah, pausing.
Reflect. Put it on your wants list. Do you actually want that?
Yeah, and asking, you said this earlier, asking why. What feeling do I have when I see this person do this, this, and this that makes me want this? And really, it creates disconnection between what we really want and what we think we want. And it's all about leaning into you and not being afraid to say no. When it comes to how you spend your time, how you spend your money, anything in your life, the more empowered and comfortable you feel saying no when things don't align, it's even a powerful shift.
How you spend your energy, because then your energy isn't spent like mulling over what you don't have and what you wish you had and like that jealousy piece. It's like, no, I checked in. That actually wasn't for me. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not spending the weekend like, oh man, I wish I had that. Like, wish we were, yeah.
I wish we were water skiing somewhere on a fancy boat, but it's like, no, I would rather be reading and cozy and not breaking my neck out on the water because I'm a little bit clumsy and not coordinated. So seeing a flash of something and reacting is normal, but it's what we do to take it the next step.
Action. It's the action and the boil down. That piece is huge. It's very worth it to learn about yourself and live more in alignment with what you do want.
And I really, you can have it all. You just can't have it all right now because we've got a set amount of money coming in, and managing it effectively can be huge for next steps, but also really help you leaning into that contentment, being like, I'm good. I would rather have a smaller car with a smaller payment or an older home with a smaller payment, or I want that big house and I'm not going to do these other things. It's all about prioritizing.
And one thing I've done too is when there's those like bigger things where I'm like, oh, I should be moving on this. I should be doing that. I should be investing in this or buying something that I don't actually want, but I heard someone talking about it. I have a list of free things that bring me joy. And then I'll be like, go pick one of those and like, remember, just give back to yourself, but you don't have to go and spend a whole bunch of money to give back to yourself. It can be really simple.
Yeah. So much FOMO in life. And there's this stock or there's this thing or there's this Bitcoin. And people can get themselves into trouble because they put money behind something without truly understanding what it is and what it's impacting.
They put
what
money
you
behind
want.
it because someone's like, oh, this is really big.
Yeah.
This is the future.
So think about what you want, where you want your life to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and really getting solid in what you want today can help reduce the noise of those external factors. They're never going to be silent, but
most definitely can help you block them out much easier if you learn that they don't apply to you.
Yep. Yeah. And do you say no to things you don't want to and figure out how to say yes to things you do want, because damn, it's empowering and freeing, and it just helps all the other things fall into alignment as well. So yeah. Save money on those big ticket items by keeping it simple and focusing on what you want.
Run your own race. Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time on the Mind and Money Podcast.